Welcome back, everyone, to Zoom with Fan. So, a new episode released, and it's not actually that bad. And it wasn't like anything so terrible that I had to claw my eyes out or anything like that. It was actually pretty okay. And that's kind of shocking to me, honestly. It's not something that I expected, especially since that there is a lot of bad in this episode. So there's two segments, of course, as we all know, when it comes to Paw Patrol episodes. They are split up into two segments. It's two plots for one episode. So the first one has very little good in it, and then the second one is basically very simple, and we're quite used to like the same old plot, but it's not actually terrible. And this is actually going to be a quickie review of this because I don't want to go into too much detail and just talk extensively about every single thing that's happening. So I kind of just want to get in and get out, you know what I mean? So yeah, with all that said, let's dive in. So the first segment is Charger visits the pups. And this episode, even though it has very little good in it, and that's around the end, but even with that very little, there's still a lot more bad on top of that. And I think the worst part about this episode easily has to be Charger himself. And I don't know what the deal is with the show, but if there's some other Paw Patrol property like a movie or another show altogether like Rubble and Crew, I don't understand why the Paw Patrol series has this tendency to bring characters from any one of these properties in. And then when they get in here, it's just like all the worst things about that character is like elevated. And I don't know why they do this. And we saw that first with Liberty when she was brought in from the movie, the Paw Patrol movie. She's brought into the show. And like everything I hated about Liberty in the movie is just like all that she is in the show, in the episode that she was brought into. And it was just completely ridiculous. And I don't understand why they made the characters like this. And Charger is exactly the same way. Even though Charger's not like the best or worst character ever in Rubble and Crew, he had like annoying moments, right? Where he was like super hyper, running around and stuff. And it seems that for some reason, when it came to this episode, when Charger visits the pups, I don't understand why, but everything about Charger that was annoying is like all he is in this episode. And he's just like a maniac, you know, like he just runs around. He's super hyper. He just like repeats everything that everybody says and everything that he already knows. And it's just like, he's just like the worst character ever. I don't understand why this happens, but I really do hope that they avoid taking characters from other Paw Patrol properties and bringing it into the show next time. Because so far, the only two that they've done this with have just been awful. So I hope that in the future they don't do this with anybody else. So basically, the plot of this episode is that Charger just shows up to visit the Paw Patrol. And at the exact same time, Mayor Humdinger, yes, the character we can't get away from, is trying to wash the kitties. But the kitties prevent the water. They kind of turn the water off from this pipe that's right outside of Mayor Humdinger's lair in Foggy Bottom, which we've never seen before. It's just like on the beach or something. And so, instead of washing the kitties anywhere else, he decides to walk all the way to Adventure Bay. And I assume that he walked because I don't see the kitty carrier anywhere. And the last time we saw him, he was walking. So, he walks all the way to Adventure Bay to just steal the water. And that's basically how this whole thing goes down. He goes into like the sewer system of Adventure Bay, which I don't know why he would even go down in that area. And then he finds a giant water pipe. Then he twists the wheel to open it up, and it just floods the entire place. And it floods it so much that cracks start appearing around town, just start exploding water everywhere. So the Paw Patrol are called in to deal with that. And a lot of this episode is taken up by Charger just being annoying with the Paw Patrol and over-explaining everything for absolutely no reason. And it's not even that, like, the problem that they have to face is even, like, that bad. It's something that we've seen before in the show where water gets kind of built up and it just kind of explodes out of the ground and creates havoc and stuff. So I've basically seen this all before, but a lot of the episode is taken up by Charger's interactions with the Paw Patrol and a lot of that is just really, really irritating. So it really is just Charger's personality that really just takes over the episode. So if there was anything good about this episode, it kind of gets completely overshadowed by all this annoying stuff that Charger is doing. But of course, you are all probably wondering, well, what is the good in this episode? Well, the good actually comes around the end. So in the middle of the episode, Mr. Porter's shop gets flooded and then destroyed, like completely. It's turned to dust. There's like no point to it, okay? So the Paw Patrol then rebuild the place and is completely new and all that. So it actually looks pretty good. I don't know if it's going to be better than the original, because I usually prefer the original when it comes to the show. But I do like the new design of the building. And we then go inside the building, which is something that I've always wanted to do, which is go into Mr. Porter's shop and see what it was like. But we never actually did that until now. So we get to see a little bit of what he's working with. And it does actually look pretty cool, and I do really love the design of the place. So that is very much a positive. And that's basically it for all the positives, but I do find that to be pretty good, actually. So it's always cool to explore more of the town, even if it is inside the buildings. So overall, this segment of the episode is kind of bad, but there is some good stuff. Like, it's really small, like I said, but even that little bit of good is enough for me to say that this segment wasn't completely useless, even though Charger was really cutting it close there. So yeah, Charger visits the pups, not terrible. Segment number 2, pups save a shiny ride. And this episode, like I mentioned in the beginning, was like extremely simple. It's basically the exact same plot that we've seen, like, I don't know, 100 trillion times at this point. So it basically has to do with Humdinger once again, and it has to do with this car show, which, you know, they're kind of showing off all their shiny vehicles. How shiny can it be? Once again, I don't understand why Adventure Bay or Mary Goodway holds these kind of events, because they're like completely useless. But I guess if she's trying to get people to, you know, interact some more, I guess that's good, you know, thumbs up there. So basically it has to do with Winning Winnington, who wants to show off her vehicle, her shiny vehicle. And it kind of gets all muddy, but Humdinger, of course, he wants to win. So he decides to mess around with her tires and make them super slippery so she can go around and wreak havoc and stuff. So, yeah, that's basically it. The Paw Patrol called him to save it. And, yeah, like I said, it's basically as simple as any Paw Patrol episode can possibly get. And I found it really interesting that they want to make it extremely shiny because of Lady Bird. So I think that they would probably hold off from making things extremely shiny to the point where you can see yourself, you can see your reflection. But I guess Mary Goodway doesn't care as long as people interact, you know. So this episode was so simple that I couldn't really complain, or at least this segment anyways. So yeah, overall, this episode, both segments included, I would have to say that it's not actually terrible. And if this is the finale or the last episode of season 9, I could say, then it's not actually the worst way the season could go out. It could have gone out way worse. And believe me, there's a lot of episodes in this season that were the worst I've ever seen. So I was quite surprised to see how this season ended. But anyways, I want to hear what you guys think. Leave it down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.